Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Jurassic World Dominion. And this is the third film in the Jurassic World franchise, which spun off of Jurassic Park. And this film brings back Colin Trevorrow, who directed Jurassic World, left for J.A. Bayona to take over, Fallen Kingdom, comes back for this finale that, at the end of Fallen Kingdom, you have like this human clone who's introduced, who lets out all the dinosaurs, and they're all going all over the world. That's the movie you might expect, where this film spends a lot of time out in the real world, dealing with those issues of dinosaurs being in these different climates and stuff like that. It does a bit, and then it turns into a tired version of the same old story where all of our main characters wind up in some kind of park or isolated sanctuary with all these dinosaurs in isolation, dealing with all of like power going out and yada 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 and yada yada yada, the same old crap over and over again. And it's really frustrating because this was there was so much potential here to expand and do something interesting and different with it, but it leans back into that for like half the film, and turns into like this weird like government agency kind of like takedown for like a good 30 minutes of this movie, where it's just like trying to take down smugglers and stuff like that. And there some of the big positives of the film. I do think the action sequences are pretty exciting. Chris Pratt's Grady is riding on a motorcycle, and Claire's in the backseat of a car, a small, like, little vehicle, running away from raptors who are trained to kill based off of laser pointers through this Italian city in a pretty exhilarating chase. There are elements of, like, Claire in a parachute being attacked by flying dinosaurs, or landing in this isolated sanctuary and being pursued by these different dinosaurs. Trevorrow has some great filmmaking elements here at certain times in the film, which makes it all the more frustrating when this film just drops the ball in so many other ways. This story is too convoluted. It has way too much going on in this 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 26 minutes of just overstuffed, overzealous story that's trying to balance too many things. And really, this is two different movies, and they smush it all together towards the end. You have this story about these locusts that are appearing out of nowhere, destroying all the ecosystems in the world, eating up all the food, and Laura Dern's back as Ellie, and she recruits Sam Neill's Alan Grant back, and they team up with Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, and you have the original characters coming back, and within minutes of them being on screen, I just remembered why I love them so much. These actors know these characters. They are able to flesh them out in the first Jurassic Park, and they really stand out here. And, it is just another mad scientist trying to cover up his work kind of story, with Dodgson coming back from like the original Jurassic Park. Dodgson's here. See? Nobody cares. That Dodgson. And, he's your stereotypical, just like, I don't even know if he wanted power or money or what the hell. His motivations weren't very clear. Or at least thought out very well. But you have this crew of the characters from the original trying to take them down. And even if that is a bit tired, you enjoy being around them. But it just makes that glaring opening of like, hey, I don't really like these new characters. They're not very interesting. They never spend enough time developing them. Like Mr. Arnold, Samuel L. Jackson's character, has more intrigue and character moments, and like I care about him more as a character than I care about Chris Pratt's Grady, and he's been in 3 full-length films, and he's been the lead in those films. And you still have them leaning on like, their storyline is they're taking care of this human clone, and Blue has a baby, and the Blue raptor baby and this young human clone are both kidnapped by, evildoers, and that's where things start to collide. But it's like, I don't care. There's elements of editing that are really clunky, where it's just like there's moments where it completely destroys the tension because it's just like, okay, how that happened? Don't need to show that. Let's just move on. And it felt like an actual error. There's elements of the dialogue is so hard to make work for so many of these characters. And like very few of them, like you have Jeff Goldblum who makes this silly line work because he's Jeff Goldblum and he's amazing. And you see these three actors, Neill, Dern, Goldblum, doing their thing and really shining. And you have these other elements struggling to live up to it. There are one particular new addition, DeWanda Wise, who plays Kayla, who's a pilot. She's great. I loved every second she was on screen. She added so much personality. But there's also a lot of dumb logic elements of like, this dinosaur could have easily killed him. Why'd this dinosaur sit there for like 10 seconds, rah, yelling, when it could have been hunting with them right in front of it? And there's just ridiculousness in terms of the sake of ridiculousness. You have to have this giant T-Rex involved dinosaur fight in the final moments of the film because why not? It's a Jurassic Park movie. Don't you have to have that? No, you really didn't. And it didn't really add anything and it didn't really do much to the story. But you have a lot of half-baked ideas, a lot of convoluted elements smashed together, but there's so much promise here. And, you know, in the hands of maybe somebody different in the future who wants to come back to this, they could refine what was done here and make something different of it. But for right now, this is a pretty underwhelming film that has really strong action. It has some great characters. It has some great acting. It's just very specific. But in the end, I think this will please plenty of fans and they'll have a blast with it. For me, it just was more frustrating than anything. And I just wish that they would make a bigger effort. But alas, this is what we have. But those are my thoughts on Jurassic World Dominion. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.